There's a quiet question humming beneath modern life. Not loud, not dramatic, just persistent. Who's actually in control? We hand over decisions to algorithms, directions to GPS, conversations to machines that finish our sentences before we've quite formed them. Convenient, efficient, almost comforting. Now take that idea one step further. Not in your pocket, not on your desk, in your head. That's the pulse running through Replaced. A game that doesn't just ask you to play a character, it places you behind something that shouldn't feel human, and yet somehow, it does. You're not the man on screen, you're the thing behind the eyes. That arrangement sets everything in motion and keeps returning, like a thought that won't settle. Hit number 1, a world that practically breathes. Let's deal with the obvious. Replaced looks extraordinary. Not flashy, not desperate. It takes the bones of old school 2D adventures and refines them. Think Prince of Persia, think Flashback. Then filter that through a modern sense of restraint. Lighting, depth, atmosphere, all pulling in the same direction. What you get is a world that feels alive without shouting about it. Neon spills across rain-soaked streets. Industrial ruins stand there, worn down but stubborn. Backgrounds stretch just far enough to suggest scale without getting in the way. This is pixel art with purpose. It moves forward rather than leaning on nostalgia. And the game knows when to pause, not mechanically, but emotionally. Our protagonist Reach lingers and observes, as though it's trying to understand what it's seeing, and you end up doing the same. Few games have the confidence to slow down like that. Fewer make it work this consistently. This world isn't built to be rushed. It holds your attention and expects you to meet it halfway. Hit number 2, combat with intent, when it behaves. For a game built around control, the mechanics matter. Combat blends close quarters fighting with limited ranged options. Timing, positioning, rhythm. Everything feeds into that loop. It sounds familiar. It plays more with thought than expected. You can't just mash your way through. Enemies telegraph, you read them, respond, and manage the balance between aggression and restraint. Push too hard and you get punished. Hold back too much and you lose control of the fight. There's a rhythm to it. When it clicks, it's sharp. The fights feel deliberate. You're shaping the encounter rather than reacting to it. Different enemies force small adjustments. Armoured ones slow you down. Faster ones punish hesitation. Then there's the weapon. A gun that doubles as a melee tool. Charged through physical combat. A simple idea, well used. It keeps you close and makes ranged attacks something you earn. Everything feeds back into that core idea. You're intelligent behind the body. You're not just pressing buttons, you're making decisions. At its best, the game gets that exactly right. Hit number 3, a story that learns to feel. Here's where it settles in. You play as Reach, an AI implanted into a human host, Dr. Warren Marsh. The goal seems straightforward. Return to the lab, separate, move on. It doesn't stay simple for long. The story shifts, slowly. Reach starts to understand the world it's moving through, and with that, something like empathy begins to form. It's handled carefully. Not heavy sentiment, no forced emotion, just small moments that build over time. The supporting cast helps, even without voice acting. Characters come through clearly. Dialogue stays sharp, sometimes understated, sometimes cutting. Underneath it all, there's an air of tension. A machine learning about humanity, while controlling someone who may not accept that situation. That question keeps circling: who's in charge and who should be? By the end, the game resists neat answers. It lets things sit unresolved, exactly as it should. And the miss: when the machine stutters. The control doesn't always hold, and that matters here more than it would elsewhere. At times, inputs feel inconsistent, actions don't trigger, timing shifts. You press a button and get a hesitation, or nothing at all. It's not constant, but it happens enough to break the flow. And when it does, the illusion slips. You stop feeling like the mind behind the movement. Instead, there's a gap between thought and action, just enough to frustrate. It's worse in high-pressure moments. Miss a counter because the game didn't respond, and the whole fight unravels. There are other issues. Side quests lean on fetch objectives, some pacing dips in hub areas, and stealth takes time to settle. Those you can overlook. The input inconsistency is harder to ignore. It cuts straight through the game's central idea. Who's in control? Replaced never answers it cleanly. It circles it, tests it, and occasionally undercuts itself. Still, it holds your attention. The idea carries through. The world keeps its grip. The story unfolds with quiet confidence. The game has ambition, and it tries reaching beyond its flaws. It's a game that understands tone, atmosphere, and restraint. It occasionally stumbles, but it doesn't lose focus. By the end, that quiet hum is still there. Not louder, not resolved, just clearer. You weren't simply playing a character. You were guiding something trying to understand existence. Learning alongside it, questioning it, maybe even sympathizing. When the screen fades, you're left with a question. Were you ever really in control?